So I'm with Allan, and this is probably one of the most amazing bikes that I've seen probably ever, to be honest, in terms of a Ducati bike. And I think I'm right in saying this is one of the most powerful bikes that Ducati have made in terms of...
It's one of the quickest, apparently, off the line.
So it's got launch control,
yeah.
And it does 0 to 60 in 2.9 seconds.
Yes.
It's a very laid back riding position.
They describe it as a power cruiser. You haven't got your feet forward, so I've had a cruiser before, but you don't have your feet forward position, but it's pretty comfortable to sit on. Your legs are about 90 degrees, your arms are out, you're not too far forward.
So it's not like a lean back like a Harley Davidson type style. It's giving you a 90 degree...
Yeah, they do an X Diavel, which has got the foot forward controls.
Right. So which specific Diavel is this?
This is last year's Ducati Diavel 1260S.
Right. The Diavel S, okay. And you bought it brand new?
I did, yes.
So brand new, straight from a Ducati dealership in the UK.
Yeah, Leeds Ducati.
Okay. And you've had this bike for almost exactly 1 year, actually, because today you had the letter through, literally this morning, saying that you've had the bike 1 year, essentially. Yeah, so you've literally owned it a year.
I got a tracker put on it, and I've just renewed the tracker. So that's
right. So that's 1 year, right? Okay. And have you done any modifications?
Only very few. I've got this screen on. This is a 2-ring screen, apparently. It's not.
Is it an official Ducati item?
It is, yeah. But it's not. It's not that good at deflecting the wind. But that's okay. I'm alright with that. I've got heated hand grips put on it.
Right.
Because I like heated hand grips.
Factory fitted.
Yeah. I got a radiator guard put on because it didn't actually come with a radiator guard, which was a bit.
God, that's a bit. Right. Okay. So these are things you had to specify.
Yeah.
When you bought the bike.
I had these little frame plugs.
Yeah.
Put on just to look a bit nice.
Okay. Right.
And then I had the tracker fitted.
Right. And those are the things. The rest of the bike is standard. Yeah. Right. Okay. And in terms of mileage, how many miles have you done on it?
Not many.
Right. Okay.
Not actually many. 1,320.
So 1,321 miles in 1 year, which is pretty low.
It is pretty low, and considering yesterday I did 500.
Yes, that's right. Yes, and we are going to put a video on that because Allan rode all the way down to my house to pick me up to go and get a bike, a Ducati, that I went and bought, and we had to drive all the way down to my house, which was 200 miles, then had to do another 50 mile each way to go and get the Ducati that I was picking up. And we will show you that video because that's amazing, because that's a 500 mile trip in a single day, which is pretty amazing. So how did you feel after riding it 500 miles in a day?
The last 100 were quite sore on the... I think it's just been sitting in. I know we were stopping.
Yeah.
The last 100.
Well, we only stopped once, didn't we?
Was quite sore on the knees.
Yeah.
My hands were fine, but it sounds a bit, I don't know how to put it. But it's got cruise control.
Okay.
So that really helped, because when we were just doing motorway miles, I just set the cruise control to 68 miles an hour. So
and then you can just relax.
And so it got any numbness, it goes.
Yes.
So that was pretty handy.
Right. And the cruise control, is that an extra or is that standard?
No, that's standard.
So that is standard. Right, okay. In terms of the ownership experience of it, how has it felt?
Well, to me, it's probably the best bike I've ever owned for riding.
Okay.
The handling's excellent considering the size of the thing.
Yeah.
And the size of the rear tyre.
Yeah.
It handles really, really well, like a really light bike. It's not light, you can feel the weight, but it handles really well. It's probably about the fastest accelerated bike I've ever had.
Well, at 2.9 seconds, that's
up to the speed.
Yeah.
And I mean, I love the look of it. It just looked, to me,
Yes.
I fell in love with it. I thought it just looked like a Judge Dredd bike.
Yes.
When I first saw it in a
Yes.
trademark Judge Dredd,
Yeah.
Billion, etc. But yeah, I just thought it looks like a Judge Dredd bike. I thought it just looks mean.
And it does look really mean, especially in the black. Because are they all black?
No, you can get a black, a silver, and
right.
I think this year they're doing a red.
Right. Okay.
But when I bought it at Ducati Leeds, they basically said to me, if you want it, whatever colour you want, we'll get it wrapped for you. And they charged me about £100, and they put ceramic coating on.
Oh, okay.
Ceramic coating on all the satin finishes. That's wrapped.
Really?
All the plastic.
As in, is it wrapped? Is it see-through wrap?
Yeah,
paint
protection film.
Paint protection film. Yeah. Right. That's a good idea.
So
that's a really
good
good idea.
They did the mudguard. They did the belly pad. They did the centre of the tank. So they do all that.
That's a good idea, especially if it's only £100. You might as well do that because that's a fantastic idea. Right. So it's actually got PPF on it as well. You wouldn't know though to look at it. It doesn't look like it's got PPF on it. So yeah. And now the thing is, I went pillion on this, and I can say actually, as a pillion, as being someone there on pillion, it was really comfortable. It was surprisingly comfortable. Once you relax, it's a bit scary to be honest because of the power of it. And when it goes, you've really got to be ready.
It is quite hard with a pillion. I find it's just maybe because I'm a crap bike rider, but it is no matter what setting you have it on, the throttle can be quite snatchy. It can go. Right. It can hunt a little bit and.
Right.
So it could be a bit smooth, but you get used to that. You don't notice it if you're on yourself, but if you've got a pillion, then you feel that they're moving backwards and forwards, and you get a bit of helmet clash on it. So you have to really sort of then start slipping the throttle. Yeah,
right. Yeah, because it does. I mean, I did feel that. I must admit, when you set off, you get that surge of power. And when you're on the back, it can be quite disconcerting. But once you get used to it, I must admit, once we were on the motorway, I was totally relaxed. Once I'd got used to it and got used to that position, it was completely and utterly relaxed. And it was, it was really good. It just cruised along. And like you say, you did 500 miles on it in a single day yesterday, which was pretty phenomenal. And I on my bike, I've got the Ducati Super Sport, and I was in agony, I'll be honest, just doing 200 miles. We're going to have a look at the more in-depth elements of this bike now.
One of the things I quite like about the bike is the pillion. As you said yesterday, you were riding the pillion. It's got a little pillion grab at the back, but you can take it off, pull this little handle in here, and slide it out of the way, so you don't.
Right, that's pretty good. Yeah, so you can literally hide away the grab handle, tuck it away when it's not being used. One thing I noticed, which I'm going to point out to people, are these two rear LEDs. Because when you're following the bike, they stand out really well. I mean, they're really bright. And as you see, those brake lights, when they come on, it's a phenomenal thing because it's so useful. Because if you're following someone, it started to get dark yesterday when we were riding back. And these two LEDs here stood out so bright. It was amazing. It was like being behind a car almost, in fact. So that was a really good safety feature. On the dash here, this is interesting. It's very, very complicated. It does a lot of stuff, doesn't it?
Because obviously it's keyless entry as well, so there's obviously no.
So you don't actually put a key in a slot anywhere.
All you do is
keyless go.
Because I've got the key on me.
Yeah. He's got the key there. Look, there it is.
All you do is press the button, and it fires up.
Right. So you're just pressing the starter button effectively, and then it puts it into life. And so, do you worry about the fact that someone could, while you're sat in a coffee shop, come up and start your bike?
Well, if you're more than, I think it's about 6 feet away.
Yeah.
They can't.
Right.
And then, but I have a RFID blocking wallet that I keep the key in.
Right.
So when I'm
it's a good tip, that. It's a good tip for people, because I know there's a lot of people with RFID readers now who are stealing very expensive bikes and very expensive cars. Yeah.
Because it's keyless entry, it's not keyless entry for your petrol cap. So you need a key to open your petrol cap, which is one of the things, if I'm being picky. So if you've got this, I usually carry this on down my neck, down my shirt.
Yeah.
And then when I go to a petrol station, I've got to fish that out, open the key, open the pedal.
Right. So although it's keyless entry or keyless go for the bike, it's not keyless for the petrol cap.
The other niggle, I've got one other niggle really. That's one, the key with the other one is I got the heated grips fitted because it's just something that the last 3 bikes I've had, I really like the heated grips. It is quite awkward to use if you're on the move. If you were riding along and thought, I mean, on my wife's bike, my wife's got heated grips on. She literally presses a button, it goes up 20%.
Yeah, like you do on the BMWs.
This, you've got to get to the heated grips menu, then don't go past it because the buttons only work one way. So you scroll around again and get to the heated grips menu, then do a long press to activate the heated grips menu, then scroll around to where you want it to be, then do a right hand side press.
Right.
So, yeah, okay, you can do it. It's not a problem. But to me, that's a lot of time.
Yeah.
You focus off the road. And
hopefully you wouldn't do it while you're on the road, though. You would do it. You turn the grips on. Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, what you're saying is with a BMW, you could do it while you're on the road, but with this, you definitely couldn't. Yeah. It's just too dangerous.
With my BMW that had heated grips, it was like a one press for low, one press for high, one press for. It had a dedicated heated grip button. I booked it in for the service, and as these things happen, just before I booked it in for the service, it failed, broke down. So I was riding along to Thirsk, and the went on roundabout, no worries, and then all of a sudden the quick shifter stopped working. So I was like, oh well, it's fair enough, I'll just shift manually. But then I was like, why has that stopped working? So I looked down at the dashboard. The miles per hour were just dashes. I said I had no fuel. The ABS light was on. Traction control light was on. Engine management light was on. But the bike was running. So as I was about a mile away from home, I just...
And this is on a brand new bike.
Yeah. It's
done less than 1,000 miles.
It done, I think 500 or 500
would have
miles,
done, yeah.
Miles. So
basically you had a complete system failure.
Yeah. The bike kept running, though. That was the...
Right,
So I got it back here.
Yeah.
Turned it off. Thought, I'll just, as I'm an electronic job, I'll just turn it off and turn it on again, see what happened. And the fuel came back on, and sort of, I thought, well, that's not right. So I rang Leeds Ducati. They said, right, well, it depends who I spoke to. One person said, just bring it down and we'll sort it out. The next person I rang said, no, we didn't say that. No one told you to ride the bike. Don't ride the bike without a speedo. That's terrible, right? So anyway, then they put me on to Ducati Recovery. Ducati Recovery came to my house, picked the bike up, took it to Leeds.
Right.
Which is then it got serviced and it got repaired. Now what they told me the problem was, in case any other Ducati Diavel people out there have the same problem, was an ABS sensor fault. So because the ABS sensor went wrong, the bike then didn't know, well, the ABS went off. That controls the traction control. That controls the speedo for some reason. And they don't know about the fuel, but that's what caused it. So they replaced that sensor, and it's been fine ever since. The strange thing that happened was, I had it serviced, I rode it back from Leeds Ducati, and halfway home the service light came on, because it's miles activated. So it had gone, if I'd had ridden it down there, the service light would have come on before it got serviced, because it got ferried down there in a wagon. The service light didn't come on until I was coming home.
Even though they'd serviced it?
Yeah, because he said they can't pre-remove a fault. So they couldn't pre-remove the service light.
Because they serviced early, they can't reset the service light.
Well, they serviced it because there was a fault.
So can you take us through the dashboard then, and what some of the basic features? We'll just have a quick look at what it does function-wise.
There's your indicators, obviously. Yeah, there's your speed, your cruise control. So turn it on, and then set it, reset. You've got this is your basic control set really. So I'll press inwards for select, up and down. So if I press inwards, that takes me into the...
Wow, I mean, look at this. Yeah, so that's literally looks like a like a computer menu.
Well, obviously.
That's a phenomenal amount of stuff.
You've got your riding mode is your urban, touring or sport.
So now we're going into, God, look at this.
So you can set everything's customizable. You look through the menu. You've got.
Hold on, go back. So you've got 8 levels of traction control.
Yeah. 3 levels. Of
3 levels of ABS. What's DWC?
I think that's wheelie control.
Right, wheelie control. 8 levels of that. And DQS, I think, is
That's the quick shifter.
Quick shifter, yeah, that's right. DQS must stand for dynamic quick shift, I'm guessing.
I'd have it up, down, or both, or off, I guess.
My God. So when you look at the multitude of combinations of each of those, therefore combined, multiplied by each of the modes that you're setting them for, that's there must be thousands of combinations potentially.
Yes. So you can go to info mode, which is what, when I first got the bike, there's no clock. I couldn't see a clock on the screen. And that's because I was in the car riding mode. So your car riding mode is what you see there. That's your car riding mode. Your rev counter, miles per hour, side stand, your whatever mode you're in, your touring mode you're in, your grips, your fuel, blah blah blah. So you could go to info mode and say track day, and then go on with it, and that's what you get for your track day. So,
right, so this is like you would get in, say, a modern day Lamborghini, for example. I know the Lambos
it does show you the
will
same
change the display according to what mode you're in.
Yeah, so it's actually telling you what ABS mode you're in, and at the side there.
And it's changed the rev counter, is that right?
Yeah. So then we go to, here we go, info mode. Go back to got full mode, which is which gets a bit complicated. So that now shows you everything. So you've got.
So again, the rev counter's changed
now.
Yeah, you've got a clock, gear indicator. Rev counter's changed.
Yeah, it tells you if your phone's connected and if you've got 2 sets of headphones connected to the bike.
So we've got here, these are the media things that we're looking at here in the top corners here. These two.
Yeah, a phone, 2 sets of headphones, and a sat nav. They're the thing what you can connect to the bike.
So, now that's an interesting question. Is the sat nav and connectable Bluetooth standard, or did you have it added?
No,
it's standard.
Yeah.
I know it's not standard on my Ducati Supersport, but it's obviously been added to this as standard then. Yeah.
I mean, I've never actually.
It's an upgrade on mine. You can do it, but it's an upgrade. And then you go to City.
City, yeah.
And what does that give us?
Just
very basic. So here, no rev counter.
No rev counter. No.
No rev counter, and it has basically. Do you think when you put it into City or something like that, do you think it dials down the power and all that as well, or is it just a display?
Info mode.
Right. So at this point, it's not affecting the engine performance. It's just changing the display.
Yeah.
Purely the display. Okay.
So, cause I got the bike back. I was all chuffed that I'd got this new bike, and my next door neighbour walked in, looked at it, and went,
Where's the clock?
And I went, oh, hasn't got one. So,
so if to see the clock, then you've got to be in what mode?
You've got to be in City, or full,
and you can't change and program the mode.
No. Whereas
mind you, it's a good job you can't, because let's face it, you've got enough to press already, haven't you? I mean, look at this menu.
That's the one I normally ride in. So
right.
Car mode.
Core mode. Okay.
Yeah. So. Yeah, then you
lap timer, pin code. The pin code. I'm going to do a separate video on pin code, because mine's got pin code as well on the Supersport S, and it's if you're buying a Ducati, you need to be aware of that pin code function.
Yeah.
You really do, because it can allow the user to program a pin code into the bike, so that if the key is changed, or you buy a new key or whatever it is, without that, or snapped or whatever, without that pin code you can't run the bike. And then you've got DRL. What's DRL?
Well, that's the launch control. I can't remember what it stands for, to be honest, but I have to look.
I'm going to use the word D as dynamic, so I'm going to go dynamic
something
launch control, right? But launch control automatic.
Yeah, when you press the button, it goes in. It sets the DRL. If you put it in a manual, then I think you've got to. I think it just. Well, to be honest, edit that out because I have no fucking clue.
Right. Okay. And then we go down to tyre calibration, spelt the American way, obviously, not the UK way.
Yeah, or the Italian way.
Or the Italian way, of course. And that is basically clearly setting your warning of low tyres.
Yeah. then you've got your backlight settings to make it, because this is the night mode you're on
Yep.
now. And then date and clock.
Yep.
Service. So it
Tells you when the service is.
Yeah.
Yeah, which it does on most
And then units.
units and turn indicators. What can you...
So auto manual. So the
Auto cancel.
Yeah.
Yes, because again on mine I've got auto cancel on mine. So, and then Bluetooth. That's for pairing up your devices.
Yeah.
That's a pretty heavy menu. Let's face it. For a motorbike, that's a pretty heavy menu. Oh, that's useful as well. It's telling you what the battery voltage level is. Very useful, because if you've got a low battery, you can check and see where your batteries is.
But yeah, it's pretty heavy going. It's not. I definitely wouldn't recommend going through that when you're riding.
No.
And we're off. Well, miles per mile. Well, I sort of did 400 miles last year, and then put it away for the winter. And then, obviously, with the COVID, you weren't allowed to. Well, people said you weren't allowed to go anywhere. Yeah, well, I've had mine in sports mode a few times, but it didn't really. You know, it's not like, you know, remember my AMG, you know, you had that in sport mode, and you could tell it, you know, everything was different, it all changed up. It wasn't night and day. Typical, every car in the world's just coming this way. So I'm in touring mode at the minute, so I've got the full horsepower, but it's not as sharp apparently. Oh, there's more traction control, more, you know, stability control. This is the sort of roads that the bikes are made for, really, aren't they? You know, there's little sweeping bends and just little straights. Enjoying the fact that it's not raining. The ride, I have to say, the ride on it is quite hard. You can probably hear my voice being battered. I have quite a bit of natural padding, so it doesn't really seem to bother me too much. Most bikes that I've had, other people have ridden them and said the suspension was hard. It doesn't really bother me that much. I did notice yesterday when we were hitting some potholes, it does bounce quite a lot. Maybe it's something. I know the suspension's obviously fully adjustable with it being the S. Maybe it could be something I could look at in the future, but a minute. So, I'm just very happy with the way the bike handles. I actually did a training course with Rougher Fairfield, I2I training. Very good. And that was the first week I'd got the bike. And one of the people in the course were people with Harley Davidsons and other people with sports bikes. And a guy in a Harley Davidson said to me, I wouldn't have thought that thing would have handled, because it was all slow control, tight circles. I see it's got quite a long wheelbase and a big fat tyre on the back. That's one thing that surprises me, is how well it handles. Yeah, I don't know if you'll be able to see there or not, but obviously I'm not using my clutch. I can just, once the throttle's off, just drop it down a gear with the downshifter. One other thing that's a little tight for me is over on, I don't know if you can't see it, but where the main beam switch is, it's really close to the handle, the left hand side handle. So if I'm putting my finger out to clutch in, I have caught that main beam light a couple of times, and I did look at it the other day to slide it a bit further to the right, but I haven't done that yet. Maybe that could be something another upgrade. This road is normally a lot better than this. I'll tell you what, I couldn't live in this place. No, you've got one guy one side of the street, an old bloke wearing lycra, and then the other side of the street you've got an old bloke with a man bun. It's pretty much anti-me. Plenty of space down here. Ooh, smell the wild garlic. But as you could probably tell, you can go very, very quick. I'm not sure. I got another false fifth gear then. It depends. It depends what you want the bike for. If you want a bike to enjoy yourself, but it's all different, isn't it? Some people just want to go as fast as possible all the time.
So you've now had it exactly a year.
Yep.
Still happy with it?
Yes.
So that is it. It's a massive thing. It's a real beast.